very simple. Weed out the negative elements in your community and seed it with positive elements. The negative might be issues around how a certain neighborhood looks, or maybe not having enough activities there, so you seed it with those kind of activities. There's actually a designation that you go for as a weed and seed community with the Department of Justice. And then once you get that designation, it has to be signed off by the U.S. Attorney of our state, and then you're eligible after you get the designation for some federal assistance in terms of resources, etc. That might be one thing you might try. The other quick thing that you might try is a strategy that many communities have deployed around the state called ceasefire. Again, it's both a community response as well as regular shooting. The strategy of ceasefire is to investigate all crimes committed with a gun with the same aggressiveness as a homicide. And the strategy is to stop the next shooting, retaliation, and those kinds of things. But the other part of it is you deploy a group of community outreach workers who are in the neighborhood dealing with not only victims and their families, but might be dealing with some of the neighborhood issues that surround that particular issue. The last couple of things I'm going to mention involve young people. I think one of the challenges in terms of long-term systematic change is we've got to do some different things. Every one of our counties had juvenile detention centers. And what we began to do was basically go in and talk to the kids from our community. So maybe a group of you might want to begin to talk to the young people in the juvenile detention center. Many of them who are open to recruitment by gangs and get involved in drugs and violence, to begin to have a relationship with them non-traditional. We started out with a few of our churches and masjids and temples just gathering. We didn't have a program, but we just went in and began to dialogue with them on a weekly basis, and we learned some things about what we need to do on the ground in our neighborhood. The other piece is, I want to mention, is another issue around the question of prisoner reentry. And the police probably have this data. People who are typically involved with guns and violence may have been there before. And what do we do to that population as they come home from prison, and what do we do for them? And there's some federal dollars out there. I was talking to your congressman at a meeting very recently, Mayor. Congressman Malone, I understand may come. But there was a legislation that was passed by Congressman Davis called the Second Chance Act, where there's some resources available to help that population get grounded. The other missing link about this whole conversation about prison reentry is the people who come out of our county facilities. Most people are focused on state and federal offenders, but there are a whole bunch of people who are repeaters that come in and out of our county jail system. Now, the last 2 points I want to make before I shut up and then listen and hear from people in the town is, one of the things that we did that I thought was effective in terms of planting the seed in young people's mind was we were the first community in New Jersey that got involved with the Juvenile Justice Commission, the State of New Jersey Juvenile Justice Commission's Phoenix curriculum, which is an anti-gang, anti-violence curriculum. We actually got a grant to implement the curriculum in our schools. And it was actually a research project. It tracked young people participating in it and those who did not, and measured the kinds of things, whether they got in trouble or not, etc. But we found that it was a very important curriculum, and it really focused young people on the choices that they make. Lastly, Mayor, you're doing what we did with Bill Cosby. We actually had Bill Cosby come to our town to focus our adults on, because you know, star and celebrity, even BLS, and can get people together. We have probably one of the greatest responses in town. The question that follows this is, what as a community are you going to do? Are you going to go into public housing and work with the kids there as a group? Is each church and mosque and synagogue going to adopt some young people that they don't traditionally talk to and invite them to their place of worship and get engaged in like our old neighborhoods used to do, whether their dad was in that house or not, there was always some men in the neighborhood who took on the extra kids. We've got to go back to that kind of neighborhood.